meals are being distributed, and I thought after 3 months of being harangued in this room by many of you about, don't you care about the starving Gazans? 7 million meals, and now we're being harangued about it's not by the right people. The first thing I'd like us to not do is conflate different episodes. The earlier Huckabee statement, of course, the ambassador in Jerusalem for Israel, there was a series of events that were fake news, that were debunked, that were reported, though, as having occurred. And then there is a situation where there were reportedly 27 casualties at a site today, and the IDF has noted that they are investigating. So I think that there is an important difference. It's important for us to recognize the difference, certainly in a war zone, but when there is news that is not true, for us to be able to point that out. But then also, as we appreciate the fact that the IDF is investigating the latest incident, and we'll be watching that report and investigation and keep you advised.
Well, can I follow up on that? I mean, you're not disputing the 27 casualties today, I mean, regardless of...
Well, clearly, the IDF is investigating a situation where there were casualties. So it's a number I can't confirm yet, but clearly we're going to get more information, and we'll be watching that and monitoring that closely.
Sure, but with the investigation, does this give any pause to thoughts about how this is running? There's criticism throughout of the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, the idea that it's not a humanitarian, not following humanitarian principles by having, for example, the Israeli military around there. Does this give any pause, any rethink about how this is going, considering you've seen?
Well, we wouldn't need, of course, the Israeli military as security. They wouldn't need to be there if Hamas would lay down their weapons and release all the hostages and the bodies that they're also holding. So let's not forget why this situation is maintained and is in the situation, the condition that we're in. It's important to not look at individual events in a vacuum in that regard, but also everyone has wanted food and aid to go through into Gaza. It is a war zone, and different kinds of decisions have to be made. People put their lives at risk to get the aid into those kinds of regions, and this is one of those cases. We'll find out through the IDF investigation what occurred, but the fact of the matter is, I think we are now at 7 million meals distributed to date. Now, obviously, we would like perfection. There is no perfection under any circumstance. We would like it to be even more, and they are going to be increasing, I believe, their sites, 4 more distribution sites that will include northern Gaza as well. So these are imperfect situations for catastrophic areas where the rest of the world has wanted this to be done. We have to try, and that's what they're doing. They're not only trying, they're succeeding in getting the meals distributed. And in the meantime, we're going to obviously be determining how that's working and how we can further improve, perhaps. And I would guess that they're going to, obviously, as the ones on the ground, make a determination about how to do this and refine it as we go on. Yeah, Andrea.
Let me just follow up on that, because no one should jump to conclusions. We all have reporters on the ground. Israel has not let U.S.-based reporters in, but we have partners there and staff members there who have been courageously there since October 7th, doing this job. And if, unlike other war zones in Ukraine, in Iraq, and elsewhere, where U.S. reporters have always been in Vietnam, this is the first conflict where we have not been able to go in except with IDF escorts for particular photo opportunities. So that is one fact. But the ambassador, the chief diplomatic representative of the United States, ascribed a collective guilt to what he said was not just misleading reports in the fog of war. We all know what happens in some instances, and we're not sure of these cases. But to suggest that the press reports fostered anti-Semitism, which led to the death of the 2 embassy people here in Washington and to other anti-Semitic attacks in this country, is hyperbole beyond what is normal diplomatic practice. And as a journalist and as a member of this press corps, I think it's deeply offensive for someone who has.
Well, I don't speak for Ambassador Huckabee. I understand, Andrea. I know. I understand. And I understand the depth of your work and the work, Andrea. I understand your work, the depth of your work, the work of people who cover war, and the dangers that exist. I don't speak for Ambassador Huckabee. I'm not going to parse what he has said, but what I can tell you is that inevitably, as we have all watched, the kind of Jew hatred and anti-Semitism that has been promulgated through media has been nonstop, even after October 7th, and that if you weren't involved in that and others who are not involved in that, that's not who he's speaking about. I would argue that it would be naive to suggest that the Jew hatred that, whether it's through social media, through fake news, through the rhetoric regarding Israel, through the years, has not developed or perpetuated anti-Semitism. It's naive or mistaken. I'll give you that word. I think it's obvious that these things don't happen in a vacuum, and that the rhetoric against Jews for 2,000 years has been nonstop and quite blunt. And it hasn't stopped. And the world, and the way the world has responded recently in the 21st century to the attack on Jews, including what's been going on at American universities, has been obscene. So I think we should allow individuals to have their opinions about what has contributed to the murder of 2 Jews in Washington, D.C., who were simply enjoying a night out, who instead of being married in the next few months had to be buried. I think that this is not the argument, but it is the story, in that we are fighting a great deal with these stories about who's responsible, the focus on Israel, the nature of who's been attacking in that region, the responsibility of Iran, that we get food in, that's not good enough. What happens with Israelis and what they say is not good enough. What the president said, I'll reiterate here, is that we have got to move past all of this. There has to be new ideas. We have to end this circle, and that's what we're doing here. So when we think about, I think the ambassador, our ambassador to Israel, has every right and will speak his mind, as he is the ambassador to that important state that is constantly under attack, and it is a reasonable understanding of what has affected people worldwide, which is a rhetoric that has normalized the hatred of Jews and in some cases romanticized it. And we have to stand up against it, and we will, but I'm not going to condemn him for that.
Can I follow up on the distribution of food, though? Because
certainly.
Let me just say that there is widespread criticism and actually self-criticism by the consulting group that was supporting the foundation, which is backed out of it, that the distribution system was not as professional as either the UN, or the World Food Program and other people who are used to working in this area, and that there should have been more distribution points where people would not have been told to line up. And
Andrea, you know what? But these questions now, these are critiques of an environment that we've talked about regularly every day.
But let me just say,
every time I'm up here, it is this critique of, I say 7 million meals have been distributed, but you know, it would have been, but not for you. It should have been those guys over there or these people over here. Over the last 3 years with the UN or the World Food Program, no one has distributed 7 million meals to Gaza.
Many, many hundreds of thousands of people in Israel, as well as the Hamas, the families of the people being held by Hamas, are protesting this food decision. The former defense minister criticized these decisions. There's plenty of internal.
Well, I'm sorry, Andrea, I understand. I understand. I don't think any of us are going to be protesting 7 million meals being distributed. When we think about what the story is, there in that region and in general with everything that happens, someone's not going to be happy, someone's going to think it could have been done a better way, and yet it wasn't being done. It wasn't being done. This managed to be done. It is continuing on. I want as many meals to be distributed as possible. They seem to be doing that, and I understand everyone has their opinion, but this is not a debate about, who would have had the better idea. This is what's happening, and the meals are being distributed. And I thought, after 3 months of being harangued in this room by many of you about, don't you care about the starving Gazans? 7 million meals, and now we're being harangued about it's not by the right people.